This podcast is sponsored by Utocop. For more details, please click on the link that is in the description below. Welcome to episode 15 of On a Personal Note with Adarsh Sakre. Every episode, when I increase the number, right, so it feels a little better. So we have come 15 episodes into this journey now, and it's been great. It's nice to see that more and more people are getting involved in the stories we are showcasing. We get more replies on what they felt about a certain person, and now they've started to also connect with them, like the name says, on a personal note. So I think the journey is taking its own shape. So very happy about that. Let's get started with today's episode. Before I introduce today's guest, let's say hi to Martin D'Souza.
Hi. Hi. For the longest time, until you introduced yourself, I thought it was Sakre, which is like sugar in Kannada. So good, I got this clarified. Yeah.
No, I see, all my friends have always called me Sakre.
Okay.
Because they, and another very, important thing to know is me and my family, big fan of sweets.
Oh, wow.
So though it's Sakre, if people call me Sakre, I'm like, oh, you know what? It's fine.
Yeah. It's a family thing. Yeah.
It's a family thing. That's how it's become. So let me first tell you about why Martin is here, right? So that's how we start the episode.
Okay.
Because, for those who don't know you, need to also know who's this guy who's here. And they should also know why you should be ready to invest your next 30 to 45 minutes to listen to this guest. The first thing you'll see when you go on Martin's Instagram profile is you almost immediately feel what a happy-go-lucky person he is. Okay, I'll talk more about his profession. Just by looking at the profile, you already get the glimpse that he's a happy-go-lucky person. Now coming to his professional side, he's DJ Martin D'Souza, like we just spoke. One of the popular faces in Bangalore. He's been here for a lot of years. I think 7-8 years now.
Yeah.
7-8
as a
years,
DJ,
right?
yeah. As a karaoke jockey, it's 10 now.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
So very familiar name in the industry, and he's not stopped with that. He just told me that he's had his fair share of photography. Yeah. He's had his not just fair share, but a good share of making advertisements. He's an actor as well. Yeah. So he knows the Bangalore scene in one way. He's also built his own brand. That is something that I want to dive into, right? So, welcome to this episode. And, Martin, let's start off, man.
Let's do this. Thank you for having me on your 15th episode. Yeah.
Awesome. So, Martin, the first thing that came to my mind, right? You have this logo that you have on your t-shirt.
Yeah.
Right? Which is what you carry from show to show. You always have that, right? You wear that. Now, when did that start, and how do you feel when you wear that brand on yourself?
Man, I'm not boasting, but I think I learned it the hard way, honestly, with the entire branding scenario. Mm-hmm. Before I got into DJing, I was in the advertising field, so I come from a branding background.
Okay.
And so I've always known that it's something really important, but I never did that with myself.
Okay.
As an artist,
I always did it for a company.
I always did it for a company or for a brand back in the day. But when it came to myself, I couldn't apply it. And I think realization hit me a few years later. But, never too late to do these things. So then I realized that, hey, you know what? I think I need to work on building my own brand. And in my case, I think as an artist, I am the brand in the larger sense. Right. So I got in touch with a friend of mine, Tarun Cherian, brilliant artist. Been friends for years now. And I got in touch with him and I was like, hey, Tarun, you know what? I think I need a logo. I think it's time.
Which year was this?
Man, it's been a while. I think 8 years ago. 7 years ago, I think. And and he said, hey, he was really helpful, and
Okay.
and I think he was one of the nicest people to work with.
Okay.
And he's, like I said, he's super talented, but we got to the drawing board, and he shot out a few options, and I saw this particular option, and I fell in love with it, man. I mean, it kind of signified what I did, as a DJ, as an artist, and it had many elements to it, and I think it kind of spoke of what I
You
did.
just connected with it.
Yeah, and also I think it's easier when someone asks me what it signifies. I can also make up things for it. It just worked
It has the
perfectly.
scope for
It
explanation.
has a scope for explanation, man. So
Yeah.
anyone asks, and when I'm giving an explanation and they don't seem satisfied enough, I can just keep building on
You
it.
can keep building.
Yeah. I think that logo had that
So,
potential. So it was a yes.
Maybe Tarun never knew how long this is going to take you. Like, right? I mean, that logo has taken you.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
to
has.
places,
It's been a
right?
year.
If
It's
you
been a
think of
few
it.
years now. Yeah.
Right. The reason I asked you that is, in any profession, say let it be a actor, let it be a radio jockey, let it be an MC.
Yeah.
Honestly, talent is there.
Yeah.
Talent is always in abundance.
Yeah.
But if you have to think of it from a business point of view, you need these elements to come in terms of taking you the long way, right?
Of course.
And which is why for you it has helped you, not just branding, but a lot of other factors have helped you come till here.
Yeah. It has. It honestly it has. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, one thing I want to kind of directly jump into, sitting across you, I'm glad I'm talking to you. I really like your journey. But I want to hear you on this, right? There many people in this last 1.5 years, let it be stand-up comedians or DJs, new guys who want to get into the field, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, every year you have so many bunch of
Yeah.
guys who want to get into the field. How do you feel for them? Like, it's a tough space to come in right now, right? So when say a student fresh out of college is finally deciding, right, now I want to be a DJ.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to that guy, man? Because he's seeing this space, which is not just crowded, but also realizing the opportunities are less.
Yeah.
I want you to address a person like that.
So, there are two perspectives with this, right? One is specifically that you mentioned a year and a half because of the pandemic. Obviously, everything has kind of stopped. The momentum isn't as what it was a year and a half ago. And the other side to this is that, like you correctly mentioned, there is already a clutter in the industry. There are that many people, and the competition is really, really high, right? In no way am I discouraging anyone who are getting into the industry, but I mean, always keep one thing in mind: the grass is always greener on the other side, right?
Okay.
You can't look at the glamour aspect and say, hey, you know what, man, he's playing to I mean, now because of COVID restrictions, whatever capacity that is there in a club, or people jumping, people putting their hands up in the air because the DJ asked them to do so, right? And them dancing to his tunes, quite literally. It all looks great. It's all, I mean, it's really a feel good factor, but there is the other practical side to it, right? At the end of the day, it's a profession. And I treat it as a profession, and a lot of my other peers treat it as a profession. So I think whoever's entering into this, or who want to get into this profession, I always tell them this: look at it from a professional aspect. Any other job that you take up, right? You're entering into an industry where there is already competition. It can be at any company as well, right? It comes down to how well you perform and how patient you are and how much hard work you put into it. Without that, there is no way you're going to grow. Especially now, it's going to be slower. Because of whatever restrictions are around us, not only in our city but across the country and across the world. It's a smaller market now. Earlier, say for example, you had 100 clubs. Now you probably have 50 clubs doing events, right? Not even 50, probably a lesser proportion doing events. And there are already players who are established. There are already artists who are well established in the city. Right? They're getting a chunk of the work. And then there are outstation DJs who are being flown in to perform. Right? So there are there are already that many more artists that are there, and then there are resident DJs who belong to those clubs or already play.
At this
right?
point,
So-
the guy who's listening has already lost hope. Like, thank you.
Again, I'm just telling you all what it is
It
right
is
now.
what it is.
Right? It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at it from both angles, saying, hey, it's a challenge. I'm going to
Yeah.
take this up and I'm going to do something about it, because there are so many restrictions and a lot of it has shifted to the online space.
Yeah.
That is an opportunity.
If you can
If you
make
can
it happen,
bank on
make
it.
it happen.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of artists in the last 1.5 years
Okay.
who've kind of taken this jump into this and saying, hey, you know what? I know I can't perform in front of people, live. So why don't I do it on the internet?
On the
Right?
internet.
And
Yeah.
they're putting content out. They're putting their songs out.
Nice.
They're putting up routines, and all these things make a difference. And I've seen the
Yeah.
difference in the last 1.5 years. Right? People have started YouTube channels and have
Yeah.
gathered a lot of followers, and
Is
they
it?
put out great
Okay.
content.
What does a DJ do on YouTube? Like, I really want to know.
Yeah, so-
if a DJ starts a YouTube channel,
Yeah.
I know what a vlogger does, I know what a dancer does, but what does a DJ do on YouTube?
I think it's simple, right? I mean, every DJ is
Okay.
always looking out for information or
Okay.
is looking out to get better.
Okay.
So, if you're putting out content out there which can make another DJ
Okay.
learn,
More
or
on a tutorial side of
more
things.
on a tutorial side of
Okay,
things.
okay.
It can be a mix of everything as well, right? It can be basic gyan that you're giving the person,
Yeah.
right? But you're giving your perspective,
Your
and that
perspective.
helps.
And that
any
helps
of
a
us,
lot.
right? And I'm saying it's not restricted to YouTube. It's also on Instagram. Somehow Reels also launched at the same time, so
Yeah.
it made a difference. People still put up videos on Instagram, on Facebook. And all these things kind of help people because you're also seeing what is happening around you, right? You don't have horse blinders on anymore. You can't sit back and say, hey, I don't know what's happening around me, so I'm just going to stick to this. You're
Yeah,
not, because
you
now
can't.
the internet gives you an access to what is happening across the world. So
It's a part of the revolution that's taking place.
It is.
And you don't know where the revolution is heading.
exactly.
Right.
So like you rightly said, it is a revolution,
It is,
and
it
it
is.
comes down to how you take this revolution in your
Are you
stride.
going to be a part of it?
Yeah.
Are you going to ignore it? Are you going to help it evolve? All
exactly.
up to you.
All up to you. So as an
All up to
artist,
you. Yeah.
you can jump onto that space,
Yeah.
right, and create a niche for yourself.
Sure.
Create a name for yourself. So other artists kind of take notice. What I observed in the last 1.5 years is a lot of us actually got to connect with each other a lot more. I'm not talking about people
Each
I
other
know in
meaning with an
Bangalore.
artist, you're saying?
As an
Okay.
industry. Yeah.
As an
I
industry,
mean, I
yeah.
got to explore a lot more cities, like artists from
Yeah.
other cities, which earlier I didn't get to because it was a
Correct.
hectic schedule. It's a packed schedule, right?
You
I
don't
go
get
to-
time to do all the networking stuff.
You don't.
all
And
this.
this is for the first time, not for the first time maybe, but for the first time you have that kind of energy and bandwidth to actually sit and observe others.
Yeah, nice.
Which you usually don't get to do, right? So, coming back to your question,
question.
if there are people who want to enter the industry, you can either look at it as an opportunity, or you can just say, hey, you know what, I can't. It's already packed.
It depends on you.
It just depends on you, but there is an
Yeah.
opportunity. There
Yeah.
is always an opportunity, but comes down to what you want to do with it.
I think, see, if we say the opportunities have reduced, maybe it's not opportunities reducing, the opportunities changing form.
Changing.
I think that's a better way to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Because as an artist, we believe that passion lives on, right? Passion helps you go through anything, which means that has the power to help you revolutionize the space.
Exactly.
That is how you got to look at it.
You have to innovate.
Awesome. So, how do you feel, Martin, being the brand Martin D'Souza after so many years of work, when you step into a club and you're noticed and they know who this guy is? They're happy that you enter the club. They're happy that this guy is going to make our evening.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
So honestly, I've always felt this one thing that I think it's still a long way to go. It's still like a long way to go, and a lot of things in my mind that that a lot of goals in my mind that I want to work towards, and I still am. But again, when I enter a club and if people do know
So, you
who
get
I
a lot
am,
of respect, right, when you enter a club? Like,
yeah, I get a
the
lot of respect
bouncers.
and I get a lot of hate. I think it's
Is it?
a balance. Yeah, of course.
hate for you?
I mean, any artist.
What have
does.
you done to get hate?
Not played your song. That is what I've done. but yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a great feeling, right?
Okay.
It's a great feeling to be in a space where you're welcome. It's always a great space to be in that, and that also means it's added pressure because people have a certain expectation of you.
Okay.
You know, if people already know you,
Yeah,
then they
yeah.
have an
Of
expectation.
course.
So when you enter that club, you're like, man, like now I have to live up to it or exceed it, right? So it works both ways, but I think it's nice. I mean, I'm not going to deny it.
You enjoy
I
it.
enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the pressure and I enjoy the appreciation. You know, if there is.
We'll come to the pressure. How about the female fan following? How do you look at that?
I
You
don't-
know, usually, like, honestly, like,
Yeah.
we go to a club and if the DJ is a popular guy, there are so many women like flocking around him. Either they want a picture with you, or they just want to talk to you, or they want to tell the people that, listen, I know this guy.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
How do you take all that attention, man? And I'm sure
So-
you've been in this, like, you know.
So
very
I
often.
don't look at it as attention. I look at it
Okay.
as work.
Okay.
Right. I think as an artist, if
Okay.
you are performing up to a certain potential and you are pleasing your crowd,
Okay.
then whatever attention that you get is maybe a form of appreciation, right? And I look at it in that perspective, right? Everything else for me around that is irrelevant because what works for me is that did they have a great evening, right?
Okay.
Listening to my music. B, are they going to come back for my next gig?
Yeah.
Right. C, are they going to interact with me on whatever content I put up on social media?
Yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the day, it is
That's-
work, and you have to treat it as
And
work.
in fact, if you think about it, those are the factors that guarantees your next gig.
Yeah, of course.
Not only next gig, but your future as well.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're doing those things right,
Yeah.
then you're able to continue feeling this.
Yeah.
But if you get distracted
Yeah.
and you're just here, you know, not really concentrating on the vibe and all of this,
Yeah.
then I think the downfall starts.
Yeah, I
Right?
agree with that. I think, you know, at the end of the day, any profession, right? Any profession, I think if you stick to what you are doing and
Yeah.
if you stick to the art and focus more on that, and everything else will happen around you, but that maybe will last for those 3-4 hours you're playing at a club, right? Or might last say for a few more days or a few more weeks on your social media in terms of interaction, or probably the next time you meet them, which may be about a year later or 2 years later. But what matters is that as an artist, have you still grown? And has that increased? Because, you know, if this person tells another person, hey, I know Martin,
Okay.
and, you know, I had a great evening, right? That person's friends should also feel the same way the next
Yeah,
time
yeah.
I perform at a club, say,
Correct,
where,
correct.
you know, in their city or in the same city. That's the challenge. Like
That's
I
the
said,
yeah.
with appreciation comes the fact that are you able to match up to that talk?
Now you
right?
got to live. So if 2 people are looking up to you and they introduce you to, say, 10 other people, now
Yeah.
there are 12 people.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you have to make sure that 12 people are okay with what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that, I think, becomes the
It is,
bigger issue.
and it's difficult. I see, as any artist would say, right? You can be a painter, you can be a photographer, you can be a DJ. You can't please 100%, and that's something that I think I've learned the hard way. Right, in a night, at 10, 8 people might come and tell me, man, I had such a great time, I loved your music, but there will be 2 people who will still come and tell you, man, I didn't like the music at all, right? And it I think comes down
That
to
will
how
still
you
hurt, right? I mean,
of course it hurts, and
Yeah.
and it still does, right? So initially when I got into the industry, obviously it hurt a lot more, but now I think I'm a
Yeah.
little more mentally strong about this.
Okay.
And so you take criticism. It depends on how you take criticism. You can take it in a way that, hey man, I think I suck at my job.
Yeah.
Or you take it in your stride and say, you know what, I'm gonna make the same person come back to you the next time and say, hey,
That's a
great job, right? It works both ways.
You know, when I started out emceeing, maybe about 5 years ago, I initially started with birthday parties.
Okay.
Now, birthday parties became mall events,
Yeah.
right? And you see in malls,
Of
right?
course.
We have to go do
Yeah.
activations for a brand and all that. So at that time, I was like psyched. I'm like, shit, now I go from a birthday party in Shanti Sagar
Yeah.
to a Forum Mall.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Now I'm in Forum Mall. The excitement is there. The stage is bigger.
Yeah.
The money is slightly higher. But then even there, no, I land up there. I still remember. And the whole mall has so many people. But if I want to start conducting an activity, I'm getting like 6 people there. Right? 6 people out of the whole mall.
Yeah.
So the immediate thought is, okay, so maybe I suck at this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where I'm going with this is, have you had a time at the start of your scenes where people weren't vibing with your music, or there was a low turnout and you're feeling shit?
Yeah.
Am I in the right space? Have you had those moments yourself?
Yeah, of course I have, and it's not have I had it. It still keeps happening at times,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So I think one biggest learning that I've had in my career is that everybody goes through this.
Okay.
You can be the biggest artist, you can be the smallest artist,
Uh.
but you can't be guaranteed 365 days of
Perfect shows.
Perfect shows.
Hmm.
It probably will never happen. It can be
Hmm.
different circumstances. It can be a circumstance such as rain, like heavy rain, and people don't
And
turn
you're
up.
screwed.
You're screwed. Like, what do you do as an artist? Right? It's not left up to you. There's nothing more you can do about it. But I've gone through it, and it's tough. But like I said, I think you then think of the other shows which have been great and be like, okay, man, 3 out of 5 shows have been great. So let's stick to those 3 shows and take motivation from those 3
from
shows
that
and then move on.
move
It's
on.
that. But at the same tone, I've also seen a lot of senior DJs
Okay.
who've had similar shows like this, right? I've
Okay.
been there where they've played to like 20-30 people, and that's when it
Okay.
hits you saying, hey man, if someone at his level, right, his or her level, can perform to a small crowd
Okay.
and not be bothered about numbers, right, or
Hmm.
not be bothered about a low turnout, and still give their best performance on that particular
On that night.
I mean, if they can do it, and
That's the job, right?
that's the job, exactly.
When
And-
you look at it as a job,
Yeah.
you finish your objective and you leave.
exactly,
And that's enough.
yeah.
That's really enough. In fact, when I was in Goa, there's this famous place called Mike's Place.
Yeah.
Right? I was at Mike's Place and karaoke session going on. This guy who's on stage, amazing, okay? The way he's singing, he's in it, like, amazing guy.
Yeah.
But his job is, after each song, invite people. Like,
Yeah, correct.
Come
So
on and sing. Come up and sing. He's doing this with so much energy, and there's not a single person turning out, Martin. 3 hours, not a single person has turned up there.
Yeah.
And from song to song, his energy is the same.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there and thinking, what is this guy feeling, man?
Yeah.
Like, what is he going through right now?
Yeah.
And I think at the last bit, 5 minutes left for him to close, and this guy finally almost like pities him and says, I'm going to sing. And the smile on his face, right?
Yeah.
That, okay, at least one person has come up to sing.
Yeah.
So it's not and chances are on another night with a better crowd,
Yeah.
this guy must be nailing that place.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So, the reason I'm talking about all this is when we are starting out, it's so easy to be so harsh on ourselves.
Yeah.
You think that if there are certain things not going in your way, that means your longevity is very less. You don't have potential. But I think it's more about the numbers. How many times are you showing up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't you feel that?
Yeah, it is, and it's consistency, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you need to constantly fight this feeling, or fight this negativity that you actually bring upon yourself,
Yeah.
right? And it comes down to how much stronger you can get with it, and say, hey, still put on a smile and give your best performance that night. Like I said, I mean, maybe that person didn't got one singer that entire
Yeah,
evening, but
yeah.
you're here and still talking about it.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
So
That's
maybe
the impact.
Exactly, that's the impact. So maybe the next
Yeah.
time you're in Goa, you're at the same
Yeah.
venue and you see him, you kind of recognize him, and you probably will walk up to him and tell him this. And man, like, trust me, it makes a world of a
Imagine
difference.
him
Yeah.
watching this episode.
Yeah, watching this episode and be like, oh man, like,
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Nice. So, Martin, heading on to another topic that you spoke about, and I want people also to hear. You spoke about the tougher sides of being the DJ,
Yeah.
about people showing you the finger, jumping on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want them to hear it out, right?
Yeah.
What are those instances where people don't really see it?
Yeah, so when he said jumping on you, it's not a happy moment. So
Exactly.
just to clarify,
It's not a happy
it's
moment
not a
at
happy
all.
moment at all. So yeah, at one of my gigs, right, this girl walked up and asked for a song, and very politely I told her, I'm generally very polite to people.
Okay.
And I told her, hey, listen, I'm really sorry, I can't play the song for you because it doesn't fit into the mood of the evening, and it wasn't the same language either. So I told her,
Yeah.
listen, we need to stick to
Very
this
harsh.
particular, very like it's, so I can't do anything about it. I'm really sorry. If there's an alternate song that you want to look at, let me know.
Let me
I'll
know.
try to fit that in.
Okay.
And that conversation happened, and I continued doing my thing. And packed night. My friends are all around me, and we're all talking, having a great time. People enjoying the music, except for this one person, I guess. And I'm at the console, and I could feel someone just jump on my shoulder, and for a second, I kept thinking, is this one of my friends? And they're very capable of doing these things, right? I've been all my friends are like that.
I like how easily he's saying his friends are capable.
Yeah,
of
they're
this.
capable of doing this. So, because I would do this, something like this,
Okay.
but only with friends, not
Yeah,
with
yeah,
strangers.
exactly.
And for a second, I was shocked, and then I looked, and I realized this is the same girl who asked me for that song, and she's hanging on.
Yeah.
And it's really weird, right? I mean, it's not something that
Yeah.
you do. I didn't know how to react, and everyone around me was stunned.
Yeah.
I had to finally get her off my shoulder, and I looked at her, and just as an instinct, I put my hands on her shoulder. I'm like, listen, you can't do something like this. And she immediately looked at me and said, don't touch me. And this is in front of everyone,
Yeah.
right? And I was really shocked. I think it hit me so hard that something like this has happened.
Has happened.
I looked at her, I said, hey, you know what? We have CCTV cameras everywhere. So, you can't pull off any of this
Yeah,
crap,
stunts, yeah.
right? And it's on camera. And there are enough people around me who saw what happened. So, please don't try to do this. Don't try to play this card.
Yeah.
Please leave the club. I'm going to call the bouncer. I straight away took the mic, asked for the bouncers to get here, and escorted them out of the place because, and we were having this discussion earlier, right? I used to be a lot more tolerant about these things. But then I realized that, if I don't put my foot down at a particular venue, maybe that person will think it's okay to do things like these and do this with another artist. And it's really unfair, right? Maybe there is, and this is a venue that I was with for 9 years, right? So I at least had the backing that, they will believe that I didn't do something wrong.
So
right?
it's also important to have the rapport with.
I hope, like, luckily enough, they'll believe me with something like this, right? If it was someone who just started out, right? I don't think they would even have a say in what just happened.
Yeah.
Because, everything just suddenly turned around.
But why was she, was she just drunk, or what's the motive behind?
I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking she felt that I would be embarrassed and probably just play
Create
the song.
a scene out of it.
Yeah, create a scene out of it. But again, like I said, I think I was blessed enough to have my friends around me. I think that really helped that environment, and people who were there used to come every week. So they know they know that I wouldn't do something irresponsible or behave badly with somebody, right? And everyone saw her jump on me. So it's not like people didn't see it. There are 100 people who saw it happen. And luckily enough, I said, it was an environment where people saw it happen.
The word is luckily, Martin, because if certain factors fell in place for you, so you were fine.
Of course.
But that means with the job of being a DJ comes all these risks.
Yeah, it does. I'm telling you small things like, I've told you, like I've had people who've come and showed me the finger because I didn't play the song. Right? I don't get the logic because I'm doing my job. I'm paid by the club to do a job. Right? And they've trusted me enough to entertain those people, on the dance floor that night. And I think I'm doing a decent job that night. And if one person comes and asks me for a song, and I feel like that song doesn't fit into the vibe of the night, it doesn't, the language doesn't fit in because I'm only sticking to a particular language or a particular genre, I'm not going to entertain them. For one person, right? Exceptions are always there, but there's also a way of asking,
Asking.
right? You can't come and rudely tell someone,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
No, because the usual thought is we've paid to be here, so we own
exactly.
you. Yeah.
And
They feel entitled.
and unfortunately, this has been happening a lot over the last few years. And I don't think when I was in college or when I used to go out partying, I've never even though I knew the DJs who were good friends, I've never walked up to a DJ to request for a song.
Request for a song.
For me it's blasphemous because that person is paid to do this, right?
Yeah.
That's his job.
Trust that guy.
Yeah,
He knows what he's
trust
doing.
him blindly, and I want to listen to music that you are playing.
He's playing,
right?
yeah.
I'm not. I mean, if I'm not going to go to a club to listen to music that only I want to listen to, right? Then for that you have Spotify, you have iTunes, you can do that, right? But we never did that. At least that entire generation, or actually none of us ever walked up to a DJ and demanded
Yeah.
a song ever. We never did that. We still don't do. I mean, even now we're in the industry, we still don't.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, I think, take that liberty and they have this sense of entitlement.
Entitlement. to
Because they've
demand.
probably, I don't know, bought a starter, they bought a beer, and they feel like they have the right to tell the DJ what to do. And it doesn't work that way, right? And this happened with me. A person came and showed me her middle finger because I didn't play her song, and I walked up to that person. I didn't let this go because, like I said, I've become that person now who doesn't want to put up with crap.
Yeah.
And
There's the line and stay there.
yeah, and I walked up to the person and told that person, I'm like, hey, listen, and it wasn't, it was a person who seemed like she just came from office, right? I mean, so you have other responsibilities,
yeah.
so you would think they have a better sense of judgment, right?
Yeah, but
So I walked
not
up-
really.
Not really, apparently. So I walked up to the person and I told her, I'm like, hey, listen, I don't think you'd appreciate it if I come into your office and show you my finger.
Randomly.
Right? Randomly show you my finger. I don't appreciate it either. Please leave the club. I'm anyway going to call the bouncer. So please leave. And I
That's
did.
true.
I did call the bouncer and
love
have
that.
them escorted out of the club because I don't think it's right to do things
What
like
she
this.
did.
Yeah, what she did. But yeah.
You said you spent 10 years in this space.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at, say, Martin D'Souza's future. Okay. And there's a very nice question that at least the middle class households have, right? And that is, all this is okay now. What you'll do when you get old?
Yeah. So
Right? Because an artist's life and age does definitely have a relation.
Yeah.
It has.
Yeah.
A 25-year-old to a 35 to a 45-year-old artist is definitely a different scene.
Yeah.
I don't know in what way, different professions, but yeah, it does change. 35-year-old Martin D'Souza is definitely going to be slightly different than a 25-year-old Martin D'Souza. And say 45 again, we don't know. How do you look at that?
So,
does a DJ survive at 45?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I would say yes. I only think that you'll have to think about it in the reverse manner, that you probably think that you put in a lot of hard work when you were 25. No, you have to put in a lot more work when you're 35, and you have to put in a lot more work when you're 45 because you're competing against people who are much younger than you are, who come from a very fresh
perspective.
perspective, right? And you only have to work harder too because you're competing against these people, and you have to work harder to excel and to keep up with your potential. And I think that's how it works. So I've never looked at this in this format.
It doesn't bother you?
It doesn't bother me at all, actually. And I got into this industry very late. I
Okay.
think I was probably one of the late bloomers in this industry.
In the
because
industry, yeah? Okay.
I started, I had a regular job.
Correct.
I was in advertising, I was in digital
you
media,
mentioned
and I quit the job to do this. So I didn't start off fresh out of college. So I didn't have that. I didn't have that head start that probably a lot of other people did. I didn't, but whatever learnings I took from my other jobs, I kind of put into this. So I don't regret starting out late. But I always say this, I think I feel like I have to work much harder because a lot of people are still coming into the industry, and you're only competing against yourself, man. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't feel like you're working hard enough and you're putting in your best, then you're done. Then
Then that's the end of the road for
That's the
you.
end of the road. And I see other DJs around me who are my seniors, who are much older than I am, and they're still very relevant in the industry. They
Yeah.
play great music, they have great energy on stage, and they deliver great performances every night. If they can do it, I'm sure I can do it as well, and hopefully with more hard work and more dedication, do it much better. Hopefully. So, like I said, I there's no shelf life. This is a question that I've gotten from a lot of friends as well,
Yeah.
saying, okay, you're doing this now,
Correct.
but what next?
Yeah.
And my question to them is, this is my next as of now, right? I mean, why
Yeah.
should I think about what I'm going to do 10 years later?
Okay.
Because the reason I chose this profession is because I enjoy it.
Makes you happy.
It makes me happy, and I'm going to do it as long as it makes me happy. I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
Right, and maybe there will be a day where I feel like there's something else I want to do, and I will probably jump into that.
Yeah.
But
Never
it's
know.
not because I feel like age is not giving it up. I think physical health is also a very big factor
Okay.
in this
In this
particular
space.
space, because you're standing for 3 hours, 4 hours, sometimes
Way
6
more.
hours.
Sometimes 7, 8 if it's a long
Yeah,
night.
if it's a long night when you're doing wedding gigs,
Yeah, yeah.
you're standing for a longer time.
Very long.
And
It
you're
does
doing-
take a toll.
It does take a toll on
Yeah,
your health.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think health is a very big factor, and I think that's the only correlation I see with age is the health aspect of it.
Yeah.
But maybe if I continue working on my health, if I eat right, if I work out, if I work
It'll
out,
take you the distance.
it'll take me the distance.
But again, right now, this is more of thought process towards active income.
yeah,
What about passive income, right? If you look at certain artists, then
Yeah.
they might start a company of their own. They might tie up with a club,
yeah,
something like that. Because if you consider age, then you want to have more and more passive income as well.
of course.
Now, have you thought about it personally, like passive income? And if there is,
Yeah.
what is the mode that you think is a good way to go forward in your life for passive income?
For passive income. Okay, so
Yeah.
I think, man,
And even if it's as traditional as investing, right? Even if you're saying, I've started a recurring deposit, every
Yeah.
year there's an amount going.
Yeah.
So that saves me. That if that's going to pay you some interest or securing you, that in a way is passive income as well.
Yeah.
So what have you thought about passive income as an artist?
Okay, so
Or-
honestly,
yeah.
till before the pandemic hit,
Yeah.
I never really focused on passive income.
Okay.
I think, doing quite well financially with the jobs that I was doing. Right, so there was never a issue, and I'm not the types who used to be heavy into saving.
Okay.
Whatever money I made, I used to travel and spend the money there.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. Money comes and goes into travel. Right. That was my policy. That was my philosophy.
That's an investment too. by
That
the
is an
way.
investment. Yeah, investment.
Let's
in
not
memories.
forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
In
not
memories,
forget
it looks
that.
it looks
Yeah.
great as
Yeah.
as a saying on your social media. But that's who I was. Luckily enough, I had saved a small amount before the pandemic hit, and that's what helped me sail through.
Okay.
Because obviously all of
Yeah.
us were out of jobs,
Correct.
and we didn't work for the longest time, and we were spending money with whatever commitments that we had. And I think that's when it hit me that I probably need something like this. Luckily enough, again, I had put aside some money every
Okay.
month, and that still goes into an account, and hopefully I'll get it out in a few years.
Okay.
Right, that's my worst
So
backup.
that's
scenario.
your savings, basically.
That's my savings.
Yeah.
Right. Right now, my focus is what I'm doing. I thoroughly enjoy what I do, and I'm not finding the bandwidth to do anything else. Right. I mean, it's not an excuse.
Yeah,
I
it's a
shouldn't-
fact.
It's a fact, and
Yeah.
because I really enjoy it, and
Yeah.
whatever energy I put in, I put into this, because apart from this, I also act on a model, and that sending in auditions, out of probably I send 10 auditions, and I probably get 2 ads out of those 10 auditions. Right.
That's still good.
That's still, I mean, yeah, it's still, I'm not, no complaints.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of time that's going
Yeah.
into it, right? And I need that kind of time to invest into these things.
Yeah.
And I'm like you said, with age, obviously you look at things from a different
Different
perspective.
point of view.
I don't know. I mean, unluckily enough, I haven't looked at it from that perspective
Okay.
yet. But
When time
that's
comes.
definitely something that I am gradually working on.
Yeah.
Right, putting aside some money so that I know
Crazy.
if there's another point of time where I don't have an regular income coming in, then I know this. I have my backup. My other backup is my work experience that I've had with the jobs that I did before I got into this, my MBA, and whatever else I've done all these years, whatever experience I've had,
which
right,
will
with
help
clubs,
you survive. Yeah,
which will help me survive. So I mean, I know worst case scenario, if I have to stop doing this, I can get into, I don't know, marketing, advertising, consulting, and I know I think I'll be good at it.
Yeah.
So
the scope is there for you.
The scope is there,
you know.
Yeah.
It's not like you've put everything on.
I'm not.
All
I
the cards
haven't.
on one thing.
I
right?
haven't. I never do. Because
That's nice. That's your investment if you think about it.
Yeah, it is my
That's
my
your
investment.
investment.
The fact that I know I have this work to show for, and at a given point of time, if I want to jump industries or if I want to get into something different, I have the work experience for it, and I have the backing for it, and
to show.
So I'm okay. So,
but I don't think we'll get there. I think this is where
I hope not.
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to how stubborn you are with what you want to do, and smart, because you can be stubborn, but it won't get you anywhere. You have to be smart about it. So I'm okay. I mean, I enjoy acting as equally. If I wasn't doing if I wasn't a DJ, I'd be acting full time.
Lovely, and you enjoy it equally.
I enjoy both equally.
Oh, that's amazing, man.
That the problem is trying to balance both.
And you never know, Martin, where this takes you, right?
Exactly.
What if one day the acting takes over?
Yeah, and I'm okay, right? I'm absolutely fine,
That's
because
awesome.
I enjoy both.
Yeah.
And I used to write as well, and I enjoy writing. I'd love to get back to writing at some point of time. And I think my ultimate passive income, passive source of income would be me making my own songs and getting into music production.
Nice.
That's something I've always wanted to do, but hopefully we'll get into it soon. So that is something that will always be there.
So you're a Mangalorean, right?
No, I'm half Goan and half Coorg.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Okay, why did I... Maybe D'Souza made me...
D'Souza, yeah, of course. A lot of people...
half Coorgan, half Goan, no?
Yeah, so my dad...
Okay. So a lot of Goans are D'Souzas as well?
Yeah. So my dad is originally half Maharashtrian, half Goan. And that's the D'Souza part of it. The Goan part of it is the D'Souza. And my mom is from Coorg.
How do they see a DJ's life?
Oh, man. So I still remember the day I told them I'm quitting my job. And but when I quit my job, I wasn't quitting my job to become a DJ. I was quitting my job to follow my passions.
Yeah.
That itself was a big taboo, because they were like...
For both of them?
For both of them, yeah. It was. Because I think I was doing quite well with advertising, and for them to see their son move out of a career and say, hey, you know what, I think I'll just do something different is very random for them.
Absurd.
Obviously is absurd. So but you know what, having said that, they never discouraged me from doing anything, right?
So
it was a concern. It came from a place of concern, and I completely understand and respect that, because it took a while for me to do whatever I did, right? Things didn't immediately work out.
Yeah, of course.
After I quit, say, for about a year, I didn't have a regular set job. I was still hustling around, writing a bit, acting a bit, so making small pockets of money, but it wasn't something sustainable, right? And I never got flack for it, but it was always concern.
Concern.
Yeah, concern. So, but they were very, very shocked. I still think, I still feel like,
What do they say now? But
they don't say anything now, I think. So they don't say anything at all. They just say, take care. That's it.
Boys making some good money. It's okay.
I mean, I think, I'll tell you what, honestly, I think with a lot of Indian parents, it comes down to income, right? I mean, if you can kind of show what kind of money you're making, it correlates with the kind of job you have to do in a society, like, what the society looks at. But, it's not like I'm doing anything illegal. I don't. I don't. So it's that. So I think
respected too.
And I think my parents exactly know what I do, and I keep them informed, and it's nice that they're also open-minded about this now, a
Very
lot
nice.
more now.
Very sweet.
And they know I'm following my passion, and they know I enjoy what I do. thoroughly, and they know. I think more importantly, they know that I'm doing this not because I'm out of circumstances. They know
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I want to do it.
It's really a need.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's that. So
Yeah.
they know I'm not. This is not from a place of desperation, right? This is out of a place of passion.
Passion.
That's more important.
When you go to a wedding, people always asking you, "Can you come play some music?"
yeah. It
Is
happens
that
a lot.
happening? And you do it?
No, I
You do?
don't. I don't.
You
Because
should charge them for it.
yeah. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna charge you for it. No, but I think the next question at a wedding, apart from this, is so what exactly do you do? Like, do you play like a band on stage? Is that what you do?
After so many years of working, what do you do?
What do you do? So I get that. I still get that, and it's quite funny.
Yeah.
I mean, now that I'm sitting here and talking about it, but it's very frustrating when they ask you at that
When they
point of
ask
time.
you, what else do I got to do
Yeah.
in my life for you to understand
Yeah.
what I actually, do?
Yeah, and another question that comes out of this is, oh, so only that much you do, like only that, nothing else,
Nothing
else. And I'm like, I know what is nothing
What
else? I
to
mean,
answer for
what
that?
more to do, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice, man. Martin, I think this was a brilliant episode.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking time to actually be here. This is literally what I wanted to do on the podcast. I wanted to, give them a glimpse of what it is to live your life. And I think you have done that brilliantly. We spoke about your future. I'm always very interested in that.
Yeah.
I'm always interested. I will definitely be watching everything you do now.
Fingers crossed, man.
Because now I want to see where it all goes, how all the things you spoke about here, spans out for you. But full power to that. Thank you for being here. I had a great time talking
Thank you so
to
much,
here.
man. I had a great time as well, and thank you for making this as comfortable as possible. Because it's not that easy to
Yeah.
hit it off. We are meeting for the first
First time, yeah.
Yeah, we're meeting for the first
Like,
time. So.
keep that in mind. It's the first time we're
Yeah,
meeting.
Yeah.
So,
So it was a great and your team. So thank you so much, guys, for putting this together, and thank you so much for having me over, man. I mean, I had a great time. Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
glad. Sweet guy, I hope you enjoyed this episode. There's always more questions running in my mind. I still have questions that I want to ask Martin, but you never know. Maybe when he comes back for a second time, we'll continue that. But with that being said, if you have anything to ask Martin, always feel free to reach out, or you can always reach out to me if you want to get in touch with him for something. But see you on the next one. Thank you so much for being here.